All right, let's jump right in. What if I told you the secret to mastering really tough subjects wasn't about having more willpower, but about using a better algorithm? Today, we're going to explore a pretty cool idea, that we can treat motivation not as some random feeling, but as a scheduling problem that we can actually solve with code.
You know, if you've ever tried to teach yourself something big, like data structures and algorithms, you know the struggle. You're staring at a problem, you feel totally stuck, and you start wondering if you're even making any progress at all. The common advice is to just push through, right? But is that brute force approach really the best we can do?
And here's the big idea, the main takeaway. That feeling of burnout, hitting that wall, it's not a personal failing. It's not a character flaw. It is a system failure. The problem isn't you, it's the random, unstructured way we usually go about learning. And the good news is, we can fix the system.
So let's talk about the typical way we study. I like to call it the random grind. You just kind of pick a topic, you work on it till you're exhausted, and then tomorrow, you randomly pick another one. It's super inefficient, it's frustrating, and you know what? It almost always leads to burnout, because you can't really see your progress, and your effort doesn't feel like it's paying off.
So what's the alternative? Well, instead of just trying harder, what if we tried smarter? We can actually engineer a solution. By using some core computer science principles, we can build an adaptive scheduler that basically manages our learning for us. A system that's designed from the ground up to build and, more importantly, sustain motivation.
This quote just nails the concept. Seriously, picture it. A smart assistant for your brain. It's managing this deck of digital flashcards, but it's not guessing. It calculates the perfect moment to show you a topic again, right on the verge of you forgetting it. Every single study session becomes what they call a desirable difficulty. It's challenging enough to actually work, but achievable enough to keep you coming back for more.
And this right here, this is the engine that drives the whole thing. It's a super simple but incredibly powerful feedback loop. First, the system serves you a topic to review. Easy enough. Second, you just rate your recall. Was that easy? Was it hard? You give it a score. Third, the system adapts. It intelligently reschedules that topic based on your rating. And finally, and this is the part that's absolutely crucial for motivation, you get the reward. You see your streak grow, which reinforces the habit.
Now, this might sound like a clever little programming trick, but here's the thing, it's not just a hack. This entire system is built on a really solid foundation of well-established cognitive science. Let's look at the behavioral principles that make this scheduler so powerful.
So the scheduler's magic really comes from 4 key ideas from learning science. First, you've got the spacing effect. This just means we learn way better when we review things at increasing intervals over time. Then there's retrieval practice, which proves that actively trying to remember something strengthens that memory way more than just passively rereading it. Third, goal-setting theory tells us that having small, specific goals keeps us going. And finally, you have habit loops, which show how a simple cue, routine, and reward cycle, just like our scheduler's loop, can build habits that actually stick.
All right, for everyone who loves the nitty-gritty details, let's pop the hood and see how this scheduler actually works. How do we build a system that's not just effective in theory, but is also lightning fast in practice?
Okay, so the heart of our entire system is a classic data structure, a priority queue, usually built with something called a min heap. Its job is simple but absolutely critical. It makes sure that the most urgent item is always sitting right at the top, ready to go. And in our case, urgent just means the topic with the earliest next review time. This guarantees we're always working on the right thing at the right time without ever having to search for it.
So what does this fancy table actually tell us? Well, it shows us that the system is incredibly efficient. Look at that time complexity column. See how most of those operations are O log n? In plain English, that means even if your list of topics grows from 10 to 1,000, the time it takes to schedule your next review barely even changes. The system doesn't get bogged down as you learn more. It scales beautifully. So, how does the system maintain that incredible O of log n speed, even when we're constantly updating topics after every review? The secret is a really clever trick called lazy deletion. See, when you review a topic, the system needs to reschedule it for the future. But instead of doing a costly search through the whole heap to find and remove the old schedule, it just adds the new one. It's like leaving an old appointment on your calendar and just adding the new correct one. When that old appointment pops up, the system is smart enough to just ignore it. It's a super elegant solution that keeps everything running fast.
Okay, we've gone deep on the why and the how. Let's zoom back out now and focus on the payoff. How does a system like this actually change the way you study every single day?
I mean, the contrast is pretty stark, right? The old way, that random grind, is unstructured, and it's a recipe for burnout. The new way, the adaptive scheduler, is incredibly efficient. It doesn't just prevent burnout, it replaces it with momentum by making sure you're getting these regular, small wins. And maybe most importantly, it makes your progress visible. You can actually see yourself getting better, which is the ultimate reward.
Let's just come back to this for one more second. O log n. I know it looks like abstract computer science jargon, but it's really a promise. It's the promise that your study system will never, ever become the bottleneck. It means whether you're learning 10 topics or 1,000, finding the next thing to work on will feel practically instantaneous. That right there is the power of a well-designed algorithm. So if you're going to take anything away from this, let it be these 4 principles. First, schedule. Use a priority queue so you're always focused on the most timely item. Second, adapt. Make sure you're updating those review intervals based on your own performance feedback. Third, reward. You have to track and celebrate your streaks to build that positive habit. And finally, optimize. Use clever tricks like lazy deletion to keep the whole system efficient and fast. And really, this is what it's all about. This is the end game. When you replace chaos with a smart algorithm, you get a system where your daily practice becomes predictable. You can clearly see how far you've come, and your motivation is no longer this fleeting feeling you hope for, but a sustainable resource you can actually rely on. By turning learning into a solvable scheduling problem, you're basically giving yourself a superpower to tackle any complex subject you want. So the only question left is, what are you going to master first?